You are here.
You may not even know how you got here.
But here you are.
You may be feeling lonely,
Depressed,
lost, or afraid.
your heart may be heavy,
But you're here.
But you're here.
And today,
There's hope for you.
There's hope for you.
hope for you.
you've taken the first step.
We've expected you.
we built this house for you.
For you.
For you.
For you.
And you picked a great day to be in church.
How about that, huh? Merry Christmas, everybody. Woo! Man, what a day. I'm so glad you're here. This is Christmas week. It's push week. It's the beginning of my shopping season. I haven't begun, and I'm not sure I will, you know? And I'm just so glad you're here to celebrate with us on all three campuses. If you're at Missouri City, go by and see Scott Denton. Man, he'll be glad to meet you. I'm so glad you picked River Point, Missouri City to be part of our Christmas celebration this year. And then our friends at the West End campus, man, we're just getting started. And it's really our first Christmas in our renovated building there. And let's give it up for West End. We're so excited about what's going on at West End. And if you're visiting, go by and see Keaton and say hi. I know it's freezing cold, but go out there and say hi and get a cup of coffee and be nice, okay? So, and I hope to meet you soon. Well, Christmas is a great season. If you don't know what Christmas is about, I didn't grow up in church, so I didn't know. And growing up in church, you might know all this, might be the remedial course, but this is the celebration that Jesus Christ was born. This is the celebration right here that God came to man. And, it's kind of a surreal thought for me. Because we all picture at Christmas this idea of Jesus being born in a manger, and we have the Christmas cards and the beautiful, stories. But Jesus grew up, okay? And so it's surreal that the God of the universe would grow up, go to school, do chores around the house, gather for family meals, have family interaction, eventually enter the workforce as a carpenter, right? And it's just kind of weird to me that there's this idea that, man, he came, but he knew why he was here the whole time. Jesus never had a sort of an identity crisis. He never wondered why he was there. Unlike the rest of us, he knew exactly why he was on this planet. And from time to time, you and me, if we're really, really honest, we have those moments. It's sort of a sobering moment, sort of a head snap moment where we go, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's this all about? Jesus never wondered what his significance in life was all about or if his life really even mattered. He never struggled with that like you and I do. And from time to time, usually when you're crossing over thresholds like graduations or marriages or jobs or whatever it is, you go, why am I here? What's going on? How did I get here? You just kind of wake up and go, is this really where I want to be? It's a good evaluation for us. Now, some of it's not all positive and some of it is quite scary. Like you kind of show up at a job that you were dying to get and now you're just dying. Right? And he's just like, I got to go to work again, And so that doesn't make a lot of sense. You go, God, why? Well, how did I get here? Why am I here? Where am I? Who am I? What am I doing? That kind of thing. And that happens in our relationships. We get busy. We're trying to raise kids. We're trying to keep our finances in order. We're trying to do life, We're trying to stay married or get over not being married anymore. I mean, there's some phase of that affects all of us. And it's just like, why am I here? What's my purpose in life? Now, I had this moment a couple summers ago. I was doing the yard, and I borrowed the church's blower. And the reason I borrowed the church's blower is because it was one of those giant manly blowers that you put on your back. It's a backpack blower, okay? It is a man's toy. And it's like a hurricane in your hand, man. And you could knock people over with this bazooka of air that's coming out. And when I first put it on, I was so confused. I had to call my brother who runs our facilities and say, how do you turn this thing on? He goes, well, you can't start it on your back. So I'm trying to find, where's the ripcord to this thing, you know? So finally, I figured out how to get started, and I put it on my back, and I'm going. And I got to the back of our house near our garage where our fire pit is, and it is blowing stuff everywhere. I'm so proud to be a man at this point in my life. And I get kind of caught up in what's going on, and I look up, and I realize our gutters on that corner of the house always get clogged, and I have this idea. I got a hurricane in my hand. I'm going to get up on the roof, and I'm going to blow out our gutters. I'll save 2 or 3 minutes if I can do this, you know? And so I get a ladder. The engine is still running on my backpack, and I put the ladder, prop it up against the gutters, and it's set on the concrete, and I climb up with the engine running, and this in my hand. I climb up this ladder. Well, I got the angle wrong or something in the ladder. I don't know what happened, because when I got to the very top, I'm almost ready to step on the roof. I feel the bottom of the ladder slipping on the concrete. And I realize it's not going to stop slipping. You'd be so proud of me, because at the last minute, and just really like a superhero move, what happened was as the ladder slipped out from under my feet, I heaved my body onto the roof and stuck like a turtle. Poof! And I am on the roof like this, and my belt line is right on the gutter. And I think for just a minute, because I'm stable, I made it. But gravity took hold, and this tremendous weight on my back started happening, and I started slipping down. And it's only about a 7-foot drop, but somehow my belt line is right on the edge of the gutter. So as I'm going down, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I got a little bit of a belly. Well, that belly got a hold of that gutter, and it pushed everything up. I looked like Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man. He's just like, oh my God. And it just scraped all the skin off my belly. And I land on my feet. And I'm thinking this is good. And then the weight of the backpack took me over, and I'm on my back like Yertle the turtle. And I'm going, what am I doing? Who am I? And the next thought I had was, what lie am I going to tell Lisa? Because I cannot tell her I was trying to climb up on the roof with a backpack blower, and I fell off the roof. So I walked in and said, I stumbled, fell. Oh my gosh, you know, that kind of deal. And it's that moment of going, what was I thinking? Who am I? And we have these moments from time to time. It's like, that was the dumbest thing you could ever do. You couldn't draw that up any dumber than that. And it happened. And we just find ourselves in life that way. Unlike Jesus, we lose our sense of purpose. Why are we here? Why are you here? Why did not here, but here? You know what I'm talking about? Why were you born? Why do you exist? You ever think about deep stuff like that? I mean, here's the idea. If you don't get that, then you're going to miss out. You're going to be chasing that, trying to figure it out the rest of your life. And Jesus knew all along why he was here. In fact, 700 years before Jesus was ever on the planet, a prophet by the name of Isaiah talked about his purpose. And when Jesus showed up 700 years later, he connected back to the prophet Isaiah, and he talked about purpose. So I want to read it real quick for you, but I want you to think about your purpose. I don't want you to be too introspective, but I want you to think, why am I here? Why do I exist? You know, why did God create me? You're no mistake. You're no accident. Your parents may not have been planning on you, but here you are. God created you, you know? And you're endowed by your Creator in his own image for a specific, eternal purpose that's meaningful. And we're going to connect with that today here at the Christmas story. Here's what Jesus did in chapter 4 of Luke. Here's the description. The narrative says he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read. And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him, and he unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written. Here's what was written. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and to recovering of the sight to the blind, and to set liberty for those who are oppressed. To proclaim that the year of the Lord's favor, a period of God's favor. And he rolled up the scroll then, and he gave it back to the attendant, and he sat down. And the eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed upon Jesus. And he began saying to them, today, this scripture, after 700 years, this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing, in your sight, in your presence. After 700 years, this scripture has come true. Now, I know at Christmas we talked about things like joy and peace and hope. I mean, we have joy. I don't know why my wife did this, but she put this big block letters, joy, in the bathroom. Every time I go in the bathroom, I laugh. I go, why? It seems like an appropriate place, I guess. The bathroom, joy. That's it. I mean, you go to the bathroom, I feel better. Yes, joy. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. But maybe the greatest gift isn't joy, peace, and hope only. Maybe it's purpose. Maybe it's living with purpose. Maybe what we have is this example of Jesus never questioning his identity or his purpose, his significant role in life. And maybe we can look at that instead of chasing it from time to time and taking our cues from our culture or our world that we live in. We find ourselves in this part of the world, in this tradition, in this culture, and they have these certain values that say this is what makes life work. Maybe, just maybe, as followers of Christ, and I know not everybody on our campuses are followers of Christ, so be yourself here. But I want you to know that as a follower of Christ, we get this idea of living with purpose. We get to live with purpose. So I want to draw a couple things out here that of living with purpose looks like. Living with purpose, first of all, here's what Jesus did. It was a life that was directed toward others. It was a life directed toward others. And it's going to come up at some point. That's life. There it is. Perfect. Directed toward others. And that's what he was saying is Jesus did not come for himself. Now, we can take a cue for that because here's what our culture is telling us. It's all about you, baby, and whatever you want and whatever description of whatever you think makes life work, that's the thing you're supposed to be chasing to make life meaningful and real and good and all that. And Jesus is saying, I didn't come for myself. In fact, here's one of my favorite passages in Matthew. It says, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. This wasn't just like a bumper sticker. This was a purpose statement. This is why he existed. He didn't come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. Now, this is a very counterintuitive idea. Because somehow, now, I know you're about doing good and helping others, especially at Christmas or Thanksgiving. Somehow we start thinking about, so here's generally what I think we all fall into, including me. So don't feel like I'm throwing rocks yet. It's coming. But the idea is that we set our life on a direction that we believe will end in happiness, in joy. And we get different stations along that journey, and we want more than just happiness. We want significance. We want our life to count. We want our existence on this planet to make a difference. We want to leave a legacy, something in you and me. And from time to time, we do, out of the corner of our eye, see those in need, and we do good things. I'm not saying you don't do good things. You are a good person. Don't get defensive on me here. But that's completely different than Jesus. His whole life was about serving and about others and directing towards others. Look at what it says. Here's the list. He came to proclaim good news to the poor. Now, in Luke, he's talking about spiritually poor as well as literally poor. So it's both. We're all spiritually bankrupt at some level. And it was from the gracious gift of God that you and I could have forgiveness and a relationship with our Creator to begin with. And he knew that, and he gave us good news. The good news is it is not based on your performance. Your relationship with your Creator is based on God's performance on the cross. And if you'll accept that gift and be impacted by that gift, it's life-giving. And all of a sudden you become rich spiritually when you were once bankrupt. He sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. He sent me to give sight to the blind. He sent me to set the captives free and to give liberty to the oppressed. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's the good news. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be about. So if you're going to live a life of purpose, the second thing about it is it's life-giving. Your life has to be restorative. Your life has to be life-giving in order for it to make a difference. Your life has to be bigger than you. It has to be more than I'm going to go get mine, and along the way I'm going to help some others, but it's really about me because you're deceived by Satan himself to think that when you get to the end of that thing that you're going to get the joy that you've been seeking. God's giving you a new description of the way life works, and it's about serving and giving your life away and meeting those that have a need and helping those. And what happens is, wow, my life counts not just for me, but my life is counting in the lives of others, and that's what I want to do. I want to see other people benefit from my existence on this earth. Jesus said it this way in John. He says, so if the Son sets you free, you will be, what's that say? All right, man, all campuses need to say this. I'm a little jacked up on Christmas spirit here, okay? So let's try that again, okay? Don't go overboard, but surely, West End, Missouri City, y'all can do better than this. Richmond, come on. Here we go. A little Christmas cranky there, didn't I? Sorry. Happens. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Man, I want to be free. I want to be free. I want to be free to live a life that God's designed me to live. I don't want to be a slave to my sinful appetites, and I don't want to be a slave to my own desires, and I certainly don't want to be a slave to what this culture says is good. I don't want to be a slave to the values of this world. I want to live free. I'm talking free, man. I want to live a life that God has intended me to live. Here's what Jesus said in John. The thief comes to steal and kill and destroy, and I've come that they may have life and have it abundantly. Big life. A good life. That's what God's designed. And there's a thief out there. And that thief is trying to rob you by telling you your brain to convince your heart that you know best. And you don't. And I don't. And the only purposeful living is when you can make a difference in those in need. That's it. You can get the fame of the world. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the nicest car in the world. And you'll get to the end of that deal and go, it's empty, man. It's empty. But when you see God use you to change one life, your life gets bigger than you. And you'll see a miracle unfold. And you'll see that God used you, a broken down person, to help somebody else who is broke down. Somebody in need. Somebody that was hungry. Somebody that was discouraged. God used you of all people. Why would he pick you? Why would he pick me? Because God uses the simple things to show how great and wonderful he is. And all of a sudden, you'd trade that fancy car, I promise you, if you could feel this one time, when your life makes a difference in somebody else's life. You'd trade that fancy car or that house or all that stuff for one opportunity to make a difference in somebody else's life. I promise you, you would. I know you're going to have to trust me. But that's living a life with purpose. It's life-giving. It's restorative. And so we get this identity. I have this identity. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I'm a friend. And is that what my identity is? That's it? I mean, that's good stuff. I love being a grandfather, by the way. Or maybe we get our identity from our roles. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm a driver, I'm a housewife, I'm a teacher. And that's what we are. But God, when you come to believe in Jesus in a real way, and he invades your soul, all of a sudden you get a new identity. And you don't define yourself with these limited definitions of roles and responsibilities. He says this, you are the light of the world. It's amazing. You, me, you're the light of the world. Say it. Here we go. Ready? All campuses. Here we go. You are the light of the world. Can you believe that? Come on. This is Jesus talking. He said, I'm the light of the world. And then he turned to you and he said, you're the light of the world. This is your new identity. This is who you are. This is your new purpose. This is why you're on the face of this planet. This is why you exist. Because you're the light of the world. And when you're not around and when you're not living up to this, things get dark. Things get hard. You're integral. You're important. You're purposeful. You're needed. God designed you. I look at my little grandson, Bo, and I tell him all the time, Bo, he's smart. He understands everything I said. I say, Bo, he's 9 weeks old. I said, Bo, God built you for a purpose. Man, I'm glad you're here. You're going to have a great adventure with God. He talks back to me in his own little way, and I know what he's saying. Thanks, Pappy. I want my boys, I want my kids, I want my grandchildren to know you didn't just exist. God didn't birth you into the room so that you could have the life you designed. God gave you life so you could have his life. So when he says you can have it more abundantly, you have to choose which definition of abundant living you want, yours or his. And if you choose yours, you're going to find out later, it's not a good design. So he looks at you and he says, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket. That'd be stupid. But on a stand, and it gives light to all that's in the house. This is what you are. You're the light of the world, and your purpose is to give light to everybody in the house. I know you and we get consumed with the needs of our world, and we forget the fact that we're light, and we get so self-absorbed. You didn't mean to, and I didn't either, but we did. And Jesus is pulling us out of that narrow definition and saying, if you want to live a life of purpose, then you're going to have to be the light of the world. In fact, he charges us, and he says, in the same way, let your light shine bright before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. No accomplishment in your life will ever match the joy of helping somebody else get their life. It's so weird, this Christian living. I know we thought when we became a believer that God was going to join our team and we were going to get him to help us get where we want to go. And God's not answering your prayers, is he? Because he's going, no, over there, that's empty, man. I'm not leading you over there. But if you'll come over here and be a light and think about others and get your eyes off yourself, then all of a sudden I'm going to give you a life you could have never dreamed you'd ever have. It will fulfill your soul, and you're going to have this amazing thing called contentment, purpose. So how's your life going? Maybe you didn't get this gift of Christmas yet, of purpose. Maybe you're wanting more stuff, more circumstances, more acceptance. You're trapped by other people's opinion of you. And all of a sudden, he wants you to be free. That's why every December we challenge you. We challenge you in this best gift ever. We say, listen, man, there are people all over the world and in our neighborhood that are suffering. And we live in a very wealthy community, and part of the world, wealthy part of the world. I know not everybody here has got a lot of money. I know that. Not everybody at West End or Missouri City has got all the money. I get it, but compared to a world standard, we're rich. And so every December, we fund our missions offering above and beyond what we normally give because there are people in need. And what I tell you every December, and I'm telling you again this year, is spend less on yourself and spend less on your family and do something for somebody else. We've talked about Cuba, and we've talked about India. I want to tell you about Living Waters. Living Waters is a mission organization that we work with quite a bit all over the world. And we started with them in Uganda, and they do an incredible thing in Uganda. And I want you to get sort of a vision of your purpose of light connecting with this idea of helping a man named Alex in Uganda. Watch this short clip.